So I'm actually coming at you with some good news today, which is a lovely change of pace. Every now and again on the show we get some good news, and it's important to report on that stuff when it happens, as rare as that may seem sometimes. Basically, the G7 have met today as I'm recording this, at the very least, in Cornwall in the UK, to talk about all kinds of different things, climate change and coronavirus and, wealth inequality and generally kind of the whole economic situation. And, as you all know, the G7 are very, very influential countries, very powerful countries. Their influence on the global stage is slipping, but what is great to see is them actually using their influence and their power and their wealth for positive things to help developing countries, poorer countries, with worse healthcare infrastructure and things like that, because the G7 have put forward their support for this program called the COVAX program, which is essentially a program that will involve trying to supply poorer nations around the world with well over 1 billion COVID vaccines, doses of different COVID vaccines. So that is astronomical. That's really, really a positive sign. Joe Biden has proposed, he's at the very least strongly inclined that the US will be trying to get to at least 500 million doses. It seems like that commitment is pretty solid. Now, whether or not the UK actually helps with this in a really significant fashion is a little bit unclear. We have committed almost about, I think, £548 million is quite a big chunk of money. But when it comes to global development and things like that kind of money just disappears very, very quickly. So the UK the UK could definitely be doing a lot more, and we haven't had any clear commitment on dosage numbers from the UK. And an analysis has shown that I think the countries were Canada, the UK, Australia, France, and Germany, I believe, have about 1.2 billion more vaccines than they need to give everyone in their populations 2 doses. So clearly there's a huge chunk of what's needed to vaccinate the whole world just sat right there, ready to go. And let's not pretend like there aren't massive logistical issues with this. It's not an easy thing to do, but we need to recognise that whilst what the G7 are proposing is very good, that it's very much not born out of pure altruism, because if it was, then there would be, there would be more being done because more can be done. It's a new development with the Biden administration that just such a pleasant surprise. Biden has made some very, very critical errors, but this is yet again another very positive step for the US. And of course, there's selfish reasons to want to vaccinate the developing world, and help those poorer countries, because until we have at least 98% immunity globally, there's going to be significant economic impact as a result, right? And whether that's with regards to labor force or trade or any of those things, or even tourism, it's going to continue to have a big impact. And it's the threat of mutations that could potentially shut the whole world down again and be more resistant to the vaccine. That is still very, very present, and it needs to be dealt with as swiftly as possible, and this will help that. So it is kind of a sort of selfish move in one sense, but we can't deny the incredibly positive impact that's going to have on so many people's lives. So it's a good thing. Without a shadow of a doubt, it's a good thing. The G7 should be doing more, and I think even from a more kind of selfish perspective, like I said earlier, the influence of the G7 is waning on the global stage. According to GDP, in terms of purchasing power parity, China is already the world's largest economy. In terms of raw GDP, China is almost the world's largest economy. Europe's share of the world economy has been shrinking for a long time. India now has a larger economy than the UK. I believe it's either just past Germany or will pass Germany shortly. So, you know, and Japan. I mean, Japan's economy has been kind of stagnant for decades now. So, you know, the G7 has a lot to prove because, you know, they're not the top. We're not the top dogs anymore. These countries, at least, not in an absolute fashion as was the case, you know, 20, 30 years ago. But we'll just have to wait and see, because honestly, this is one of those things where, you know, you just have to hope and pray that politicians actually, for once, are going to do the right thing. And you know, I'm fairly, you know, optimistic about the Biden administration and their handling of the recovery, whether it's on that healthcare basis, because I think, you know, even though Biden's healthcare plan for Americans is dreadful in comparison to what we have in the UK or what most developed countries have, or Bernie Sanders' proposal and Medicare for all, it's a lot worse than all of that. But it's definitely going to be a major improvement to get a sort of public option in the US to, you know, expand and build upon the Affordable Care Act. You know, millions more Americans will have access to basic healthcare, and I think that's a remarkable thing that we should definitely celebrate. And of course, on the COVAX front and on climate change, you know, it's one of those things where you got to at least have a little bit of hope. You know, I'm paraphrasing, but I'm pretty sure, you know, Angela Davis said something along the lines of, think like an optimist, or believe like an optimist and fight like a pessimist. You know, or was it the opposite? I think it might have been the opposite. I'm an idiot. I don't know, but you get what I mean. You got to have at least a little bit of hope, to actually kind of get through these trying times that we live in. So yeah, very good news. You know, it's shocking, the statistics we've been hearing from Africa with, I think they account for about 1% of global immunizations. And of course, Africa accounts for a lot more than that of the global population. So this is very much a welcome development from the G7, and I hope to see more of this in the future. And of course, you know, on the climate change issue, generally, you know, disappointing, not enough being done. And Boris Johnson flew to Cornwall on a plane, so taking it very seriously, clearly. So, you know, swings and roundabouts, always stuff that we could be doing better. Certainly not difficult with the kind of leaders that we have at the moment around the world. But yeah, let's hope that the COVAX program is effective, because it'll relieve a lot of suffering and it'll save a lot of lives. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed the video, if you liked it, you know, then why not translate that into a digital form and click the like button. Or, you know, even better, if you're feeling extra wild, subscribe and click the bell.